come to my mind. We had a great run of it. He's a great coach, and I'm proud to have him as a friend and proud to have had the times that we had. We just had a great experience.
Can you answer Switch's question now?
What?
Do you think you could answer Barry's question now?
I've never been able to know why. I fucked it up. That, not just that, but anything else. No, I can't answer those questions.
Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Joe Bear in the house. Joe Boo, of course, is holding down the Red Brick House. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notifications because YouTube kind of goes through and they drop those things. So you got to check it from time to time. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. And don't forget about BetUS. BetUS, I know football season's over, but you can gamble on every kind of sport out there, including they have casino games. And if you use the promo code YouTube150, you'll get 150% matching on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. And if you use crypto, you get 200% on your first 3 deposits. So I'm thinking about actually putting $100 on the Dallas Cowboys to win the Super Bowl because Micah Parsons said they will be holding up a Super Bowl trophy. And I'm hoping that it's not one of these little teeny ones. I hope it's the real thing. So bet responsibly and bet with BetUS. So I am going to say these are not your daddy's Dallas Cowboys. Daddy Jerry. I'm going to say that this is a totally different Dallas Cowboys, and they are doing a lot of things that they don't normally do. They don't normally do the things that they're doing. There's now a sense of urgency. Now, I've been doing YouTube. My first 1,000 subscribers was 2016, and some 90 plus million views later. I can't believe it. 90 million views between my 2 channels. Wow. Thank you all. Thank every one of you who has watched the video. It still blows my mind. It humbles me and makes me want to work harder. In the 9 years that I have been doing this, I've never seen the Cowboys doing what they're doing right now. And I hope that this is the new and improved Cowboys with a sense of urgency. Now, in these 9 years, I've always been, before I did YouTube, I've always been a problem solver. God rest his soul, my mentor, Alex, used to always call me FF. Excuse my language, but that was for fuck up fixer. Because he would say, if something's fucked up, Mark can figure a way to fix it. And I always got the difficult jobs. It's just kind of, my brain is kind of analytical where, you know, I see in my mind what I want to accomplish and I build it from there. So I take that same approach with things that happen with the Cowboys. And I like to try and put together the pieces and take some of the stuff that's happened in the past and take the data that's going on right now, put it together and try and spit it out and come out with a conclusion. Okay? Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But that's what I do. The thing is, nowadays, I grew up on what was pure sports, and that was the George Michael sports machine. Those of you that are old like me will remember that because it was literally a sports commentator who came up with something different, and that was on Sunday nights, 11:30 to 12 o'clock, showing you highlights, not just of football, but all kinds of sports. Excuse me, all kinds of sports. And it was about as pure as it could be. The stuff that we get now it's all about competition to get you to watch. It's always, you know, the truth, the real news is not really that exciting. You know, it's just not. Cowboys trying to re-sign some of their players. Okay, fine, big deal. The Cowboys might be interested in trading for DK Metcalf. Your ears perk up. You're going to listen. So it's not about actually giving you real news and things like that. It's about getting you to watch whatever way they do. whatever way they can. George Michaels wasn't that, and I miss those days. When you get old, though, you miss everything that happened a long time ago because you miss being young. But be that as it may, I like to take what's going on and put it together and say, maybe this is what's going on. When I did my fireside chat last night, Clarence had sent me a picture, another picture of Jerry and Stephen Jones at the Combine. Jerry's canceled doing the bus interviews. He says he'll talk on Wednesday at Zach Martin's retirement press conference. Jerry does not look well. I hope he's okay, but Jerry does not look well. And I've thought throughout the season that Jerry Jones, who was always out front and, blasting after the games about what's going on and what the team was going to do and fighting and everything else, the press conference that he had with Pat McAfee, Pat McAfee talking about where Jerry Jones, nobody's done it better. I felt like that was the swan song for Jerry Jones to do this the way he wanted to out of respect. We always say when a player has been there forever that they deserve to go out the way they want to leave the sport. Jerry Rice, you're the all-time leading, wide receiver. You deserve to go out on your terms. You've given so much that even if it's going to be screwed up, you deserve the right to do it the way you want to do. That's my conclusion. Because everything has changed. I've been talking since the press conference that there was a totally different vibe. Jerry Jones on every single press conference until the Brian Schottenheimer one has always been the first person to talk. Brian Schottenheimer was the first one. Stephen Jones has always been COO, Vice President of Operations. He's now COO, co-owner. They changed that this year. The Cowboys at this time of year are doing nothing. Zero, zilch, zingo. They're letting their free agents, even the ones they want to keep, go out there. We didn't sign a player until our long snapper, and we were the last team to sign a free agent. Days in. But here we are. Jerry Jones cancels his one-on-one bus tour operation. Jerry Jones has not spoke at the Combine at all. Stephen Jones spoke for about 22 minutes there and didn't give you bullshit like we usually did. He said, we're working on OSAs, this week. He had hoped to get it done, and, well, it's not done, but we have avenues for that. This is not typical. I remember one year the Cowboys literally being on vacation in North Carolina the first week of free agency. This is not the same run organization, or it's not being run the same way. I don't know if Mike McCarthy basically saying, thanks, I'm good, El Paso, was a wake-up call for him. I don't know if Jerry Jones is ill and really stepping away from all of the day-to-day stuff, and really that Stephen Jones is now the owner and Stephen Jones is not Jerry, and he's delegating to people, because that's what it sounds like. Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach, put together his staff. That's not the way Cowboys have been doing it. When Mike McCarthy was hired, hey, here's your offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Mike McCarthy didn't pick Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was picked by the Joneses. The coaching staff last year was not part of the Combine. Mike McCarthy, the guy who's got to cook the meal, and Mike Zimmer were back in Dallas literally working on plays for players that they don't who they're going to be. Every single person on the coaching staff this year was in Indianapolis, working hand in hand with the scouting department to figure out what are the best fits for what we want to do. This is not your Dallas Cowboys of past. This is a new Dallas Cowboys. Whether or not it works, I don't know. And it may be that they got a lot to learn because they're behind everybody else. Here's where it's kind of interesting, okay? So we gained $1.4 million of cap space overnight. I don't know how we got it, where it came from, but at the moment, we're not at 2.4. We are sitting here. Let's change our cameras up. Okay, some reason my switcher is not switching. Okay. Sorry, my switcher is not switching. Let me unplug it and see if it'll plug back in. At the moment, forgive me, the Cowboys are sitting down here with 3.8. There we go. With $3.8 million. Okay. And salary cap right there. Now, here's the nice thing is they haven't counted the rollover money, which is like $18.5 million. So we're somewhere around 21, 22. And they haven't gotten the final number yet for the salary cap, what it's going to be. It's somewhere between 277 and 281.3 and stuff. I still said 283 was going to be my number. And I'm just going to stick with that, and we'll see what it's going to be. So the Cowboys will have somewhere around $25 million of cap space, which doesn't sound good, but when you look down, New Orleans every year is always in the red. They were $75 million in the red before they restructured and got back down under it. The Browns, $22 million. Chiefs, $17 million in the red. Bills, $10 million. Seahawks, 6.8. Falcons, 5.2. And then the Dolphins are just north of it. So we don't necessarily have a lot of money right there. And for Momo, who said, we got $100 million. Well, no, you got $64 million at the moment because we already have Debo's money on the books as cap number of 17.4. And so you realize signing a couple players makes a difference. Now, the thing for the Cowboys' problem right now is working on Osendigizua, the franchise tag number right now is 25.4. So they haven't gotten the deal complete yet. If they don't get it done by 3 o'clock Central tomorrow, they will franchise tag him. I just hope they're not late behind that to give them some more time to do it. And that will give them until July 15th. The bad part about that is you now have $25 million. That's a hard number to count on your salary cap. And so until you get his thing done, you got to create $25 million of space for that, or basically eat up what you have. One way you can do this, and this may be why they have now turned their attentions to Micah Parsons' deal, is Micah Parsons, his hit is $24 million as a fifth-year option. Now, you know how the Cowboys did. The Cowboys, having Dak Prescott on a franchise tag, they waited until July 15th to try and get the deal done on his first one and weren't able to get it done by 4 o'clock, in which case they ended up losing it. That was all the way in July. We know CeeDee Lamb, we went through all training camp before we finally got his deal done because he was on his fifth-year option. We know Zeke Elliott had to hold out to get his deal through basically the end of training camp before we got him in. D-Law had to not get his shoulder operated on, and threatened to say, until I get my contract, I'm not going to do that, which screwed up his season. So we know when it comes to big contracts, we always wait. But here it is, the Dallas Cowboys recognizing we need some more money easily with that $24 million hit for Micah Parsons. If they get his deal done, may only be about $8-10 million, depending on how they structure it the first year, which means you get about $14 million.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah, $14 million is a good chunk of change to go ahead and work. So the problem for the Cowboys is they want to get Jordan Lewis done. They want to go ahead and get Rico done. They want to get these things done, and they want to, of course, get Osas done. But they're going to need some more money because by next Wednesday, they have to be under the salary cap. So all these teams that you see down here, the New Orleans Saints and the Bills and everybody who is over the cap, they've got to get to zero. Now, here's the thing. Here's where it's kind of crazy because you're sitting there like, oh, my God, we only got $3.8 million. Well, we never had last year. We never had more than about $9 million until we re-signed CeeDee Lamb. We had to restructure contracts and let some guys go to get that $7-8 million that we had throughout most of free agency. We typically are about like where the Chiefs or New Orleans or the Browns are. I'm sorry, where the Browns are. We're usually about $25 million in the red. In which case we would restructure Dak's contract, we'd restructure Zeke, we'd restructure Zach Martin and all that to get us down below and give us a little bit of money to go. So look for the Cowboys to start, and a lot of teams, to start restructuring contracts, flipping the switches, so that way they can get some more cash. It's just a part of the business. The Saints got to do a whole lot more than everybody else, but that's what they do every year. Every year they start out way in the red. Quite frankly, for the Saints, they were $75 million in the red this time last year, and I believe we were 28. So the salary cap, as much as Stephen Jones wants you to believe that that's the be-all, end-all, and that you can't go through and do things, well, that's not true. The Eagles at the moment have $22 million. And you can believe that the Eagles will be flipping some triggers and things to get some more money and things, although they will not be able to keep everybody. But they know how to work that thing better than anybody else. So Micah Parsons, I think, will be on an accelerated to get it done. You just do. Micah Parsons, love him or hate him, 50-plus sacks to start his season, to his career. It's him and it's Reggie White. Nobody else has done that. He's become the vocal leader of the Dallas Cowboys, and I do not want to go through another offseason, all the speculations. I'm tired of Eagles fans talking about future Eagle Micah Parsons, and the Cowboys are going to trade Micah Parsons to the I'm tired of those. I don't want to hear it. I want to see Micah Parsons with a contract before it's time for OTAs. I want to see him in here with his new coaching staff developing better ways for him to be an ultimate weapon. And I want the cash so we can get some more players here to try and win. Because it feels like the Dallas Cowboys are now trying to win. We got rumors of Cooper Kupp, if the price comes down low enough, coming in here being our number 2 receiver. I mean, that's definitely an improvement. If you bring in Cooper Kupp and we got Jalen Tolbert as our number 3, I'm okay with that. And it may be that Cooper Kupp doesn't have as much as he used to, but I can guarantee you that's better than what we have on the roster right now behind CD. That's a market improvement. And all of these things, if you look at what we're doing, now we've heard a rumor that Diggs might be tradable or released by the 17th. Clarence Hill Jr. says, stop it. It's not true. Stop starting rumors. I don't know if it is or isn't. But if you are a good team, you're looking at everything. You're looking at where we can save some money and where we can improve. Because the bottom line is you don't care what 53 guys on the roster, except for which ones make me the best team. If that means I got to let go of somebody that's a higher name for a lesser one, cost-wise, hey, that's how it works in the NFL. It's about winning. Too many times we are with nostalgia and saying, let's bring back a Zeke when nobody else wants him. Doesn't work. When you look at all of these things that we're doing right now, we're trying to win now. Now, there was, where'd I go with it? I don't know where my video is. Here we go. Okay. A question that was posed about a month ago was, are the Cowboys closer to the playoffs or a rebuild? The phrase was, win now. The moves that the Cowboys are making right now are about winning now. It's about winning now. This is not rebuild. If you're saying you're bringing in Cooper Kupp doesn't have that many years. Just doesn't. Holding on to Micah, holding on to Osa, bringing back Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis is not a long-term piece. These are moves that are about winning right now. But let's revisit what we heard before.
Their Executive Vice President, Stephen Jones, is down at the Senior Bowl, and he spoke to the media yesterday about the state of his team's roster, and he had interesting things to say.
We want continuity, but we also want change. And obviously what we've done, hadn't gotten the job done. We accept that. We accept that our fans can have frustration, that we hadn't gotten that job done. And you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect something to change. So we need to change, but at the same time, we've got a lot of things right.
Okay, so, I don't know what he just said. That was just a bunch of words. He just said we need to do things the same, but we need to do them differently, and we've been doing them right, but we've been doing them wrong. So I'm not 100% sure what we just all listened to. All of that said, you made a pretty interesting statement. It has been very fashionable to dump on the Cowboys this week.
Oh, of course.
The hiring of Brian Schottenheimer and all the rest of that. You made a very interesting observation in our meeting this morning about exactly where this roster actually is.
This is not a rebuild, Greeny. Yeah. If the four of us were running an NFL team and we said we had a really good quarterback, now we could debate, is he 6 or 10? Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. We have an elite difference-making wide receiver who's a point scorer in CeeDee Lamb. And arguably, we have the best pass rusher in all of football. We would be off to a heck of a start building a team that should have sustainable success, which is objectively they've done in the regular season over the last several years. So they have to make changes. And we know, Greeny, that this is historically great at running back in this year's draft. Amongst other needs they have is the running back position. So my point is, lots of work to be done. But in terms of the hard parts of building a team, they are in place.
You agree with that, Bartholomew, or not? You look skeptical.
Well, because I'm writing down, you say you're the quarterback, and you got a receiver.
Wide receiver.
I named 5 people. Last I checked, it takes 22 to win football games and put out there. You need depth, especially, with the 17-game season. And what I would say is, that's good, but I think they're closer to a rebuild than they are a reload. Right, when you consider the fact that the two teams in this division are better. If we all were sitting here picking, where we would think the Dallas Cowboys would be next year, we would probably say third in the division, right? Because you believe that we're talking about a team in their division that's going to be playing for the Super Bowl, that has a lot of young talent, that's ran correctly. And, when you listen to Steven saying that, it's time to do something different, I love Shotty, but that's a common type of hire, right? Somebody that's a first-time head coach, somebody that's, not going to challenge Jerry Jones. I think that's kind of doing the same thing and expecting a different result. This is the worst that the Washington Commanders are ever going to be. They got a pocket full of money. They got a lot of young talent, and they have the ability, because of the young talent, the young quarterback, that guys are going to take discounts because they feel like they can win a championship with this guy. So they're going to get a rush of free agency of guys coming there simply because the quarterback is so special. So yes, Dak Prescott is, 1 or 6 or 10 or whatever. But you can argue that the two other guys in this division might be above him.
Yeah, you could. I think what you're hearing with the Cowboys, what Stephen Jones is saying, like, look, we won 12 games 3 years in a row. You put yourself in a position to contend. At some point, it's going to go your way. Whether that turns out to be true or not is up for debate. But this year, they didn't. Like over the previous years, over most of what preceded this year, the Cowboys were very good at building rosters that did have depth. Right? You could suffer an injury at cornerback or at left tackle and still play at a high level because they had guys that could fill in. This year, that didn't happen. And I think they're assessing, did we miss on some draft picks? Do we need to do something differently than we've done in recent years because some more holes have shown up on our roster than we realized were there? There's a happy medium between doing absolutely nothing in free agency and going, crazy in free agency, and they need to find somewhere along that spectrum to land, because last year they didn't do anything, and again, they had more holes to fill than they thought.
So what you're saying is they need to be a little bit the same and a little bit different.
Exactly, but I think
so.
that's
Maybe he was right.
we tend to know what we're doing. This past year, we kind of got hit in the face with, all right, well, maybe you didn't have as good a team as you thought you had or you usually had.
Real quick.
Yeah, Greedy, after next Sunday, next 4 months is going to be these 10 teams need a quarterback, and one of those teams isn't Dallas, and that's a massive head start.
Matchmaker. I'm starting with.
All right, we'll end it right there. So that's what we got before. Is this closer to a rebuild? Well, it's not rebuilding. Scrap that idea. The Cowboys are win now, or maybe it's all in. And we're going all in without Jerry Jones talking about it. Alrighty, good people, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Don't forget, tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern, we'll be doing our live stream that we've been doing for 9 years. I can't believe we've been doing this stuff that long. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and we will see you soon.